There, we'll move to the consent agenda. Consideration of approving.
Hold on, excuse me. You're going to do the presentation during public comment.
You want to do the presentation? We'll go ahead and do a presentation then.
During our public comment for.
I got you. Sorry, I'm a little slow this morning. We have two members that are going off of the board, and we'd like to give recognition to those two individuals, Michaela Brownfield and Scott Zaruba. They spent a lot of years on this board, kept it going. They had a wealth of knowledge that we all benefited from. And so we'd like to thank Scott and Michaela for their service and their time. We hope to reach out to them as a resource moving forward. So at this time, I'd like to present a small token of our appreciation to Scott and Michaela.
Can we clap for them? There we go. You want to get up there?
Yeah, let's get off.
We'll come in 4 years.
Wow.
Oh, cheers. We need a ladder. I'm as tall as you are, so.
With that being said, we'll go ahead and welcome the two new faces that we have on the board. We'll start with Naomi Vasquez is joining us. Would you like to say anything? Say a few words, or?
I appreciate being on board. This is all new to me. When Lucy told me about it, I sit on other boards. I thought it was just another regular board, and when I got sworn in, I realized it was serious. But I appreciate being here, and I'll give it to the best of my ability, do the best I can, and I appreciate y'all welcoming me.
Thank you. We're glad you're here. And another new face that we have is Dale Velasquez joining us. So I'll open it up for you.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to just ditto everything Naomi just said. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being part of the board. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Glad you're here.
By the way, I have pizza coming at 11:45.
All right.
Awesome.
He's already getting involved there. I like it. So we'll go ahead and move to the consent agenda. The consideration of approving the June 28 meeting minutes. I have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion from Billy, second from Naomi. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move to the regular agenda. Presentation of monthly financial report and event calendar.
Good morning, how are y'all?
Thank you.
Good.
If you look at your Fund 410, July 31st fund balance, you'll note down there that our fund balance looks very good, and we had a net revenue over expense last month of $86,469. All the divisions are looking fairly well. The River Sage, reason why the expense is up is we're doing some electrical work there that's causing that to go up. That's much needed. And then everything else is looking really, really well. So if you have any questions, I'll see if I can answer them. Oh, okay. Sid just pointed out that on his slides, the Fund 410 balance is $850,512. It should read $820,512. The Fund 605 balance is correct.
That's what the July Blue Book shows.
Are they putting those 30 amp breakers that we had discussed about, or what electrical work are they doing at the River Stage?
It's later on the agenda.
So the blue book's correct, your slide's off. Okay, gotcha. Technology.
Huh?
Technology's fault, right?
That's right.
Does anyone have any questions on the financials?
Okay. If you don't have any questions, on October 10th, we're going to have a lunch and learn that will be in the room right above Lori and my office in upstairs B at 11 o'clock. And there's going to be a presentation made by Dale Hahn and perhaps maybe the new Assistant Finance Director, Ryan Gaddy, probably will be there, about hot taxes. And he'll just give you a brief overview of the hot tax procedure and policy for the city. And then he'll be there to answer any questions that y'all might have about hot tax or hot tax allocation or how allocations occur. So if you want to come and hear about that, it's October the 10th at 11 a.m. And lunch will be served.
Will this be considered that month's meeting as well?
No, that's in addition to the meeting, if I'm correct, yeah.
So if we have, we have to publicize this if we have a quorum, correct? Okay. So do we need a head count? Okay. Does anyone have any questions on this? I think it's a great thing for as many of us to understand. I mean, the funding for this department, this enterprise fund, comes from these hot taxes. So Dale's probably got a pretty good understanding of it, but for some of the rest of us, it's probably a good education to know where these funds are coming, exactly what we can use them on, who's monitoring, who's governing those funds to make sure we're receiving everything we should be from the hotels. So I know I'm going to try to attend this, so would hope that you guys would as well. Thank you.
Who all is coming to that meeting? Is it besides the civic events people? Is there
Anyone,
like
it's open to
CBB
anyone.
or?
So any other outside organizations?
So I will also invite CVB as well, and then it is open to the public too as well to be able to come.
Perfect. Then we'll move to the calendar. Thank you, Dale.
Good morning, Board. You'll see up on top what we had in August, which is about average. September's starting to pick up a little bit more. We had 71 bookings, 32 here at the Convention Center, and then 14 of them were within the city of San Angelo for the board meetings and council. Coliseum had 3, River Stage had 3, El Paso had 4, El Paseo, Pecan Creek for Farmers Market, of course, the standard Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays for the market, and then we had one outside rental. And the East Mezzanine over at City Hall, we had 11, which were all in-house. And September, as of yesterday, we had 82 bookings starting for September. 29 here at the Convention Center. 15 are already booked. Board Council Coliseum has 7 days booked. River Stage has 8. El Paseo has 9. Pecan Creek has 6. Farmers Market has a standard 13. And East Mezzanine City Hall has a 10.
On the 29th of September, isn't there supposed to be a concert going on at the River Stage?
Yes, as soon as we get a contract, it'll be on the calendar.
I was just curious because I didn't see it on here, so
Yeah, I don't have a
It'll be signed
contract.
today.
Yeah,
just curious. All right.
yeah. It'll be on there before it goes out to
Oh, yeah,
public.
okay.
Your past events, of course, we had another great turnout for the Wall Ag Boosters, the Wild West Fest. There was about 4,800 people in attendance. Newsboys out at the Coliseum had about 1,700 people there. We've got the River Fest coming up, which Sid will give you the rundown on that. And then we've got, as noted, the Viva San Angelo concert at the River Stage is coming up.
I have a question. I've heard various numbers. What is the seating capacity at the Coliseum for a concert?
Permanent seating upstairs, we're just a little over 5,000. Depending what you put on the main floor, how big the stage is what Steve and staff will set up. It varies. Most of them are 800 to 1,000, depending on the stage or what is
The
needed.
floor?
So 6,000 easily.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. So with that, if no one has any other questions, we'll move to the next item, discussion of civic events, facility projects, and recommending any related matters.
All right, the first one we're looking at there is the replacement of the chiller at the Coliseum. And it was quite an undertaking, but finally it's in place, and we've been running it for the last 3 weeks, and it's working very well. They got the front end set up to where we have redundancy again now, and so everything's great with that. The lighting is done at the Coliseum. The overhead lighting is all LED, and now you can see down below all those where there were fluorescent lights that were all different colors. They're all the same now. It's all done in LEDs. So when a company comes in or anything, instead of having to wait 13 minutes for the lights to come up, they just are automatically on and off. So that really helps a lot. The lighting, let's go back to that slide once. The lighting around the side was designed to be emergency lighting so that when we lose power, that the generator will turn those on so that people can see to leave the building. That was there, but with the switch off, which you always have the switch off at a concert because it's blacked out in there, they would not come on. So we had an electrician out, and she's now got that set so that when the generator comes on, they come right on. So, okay. The spotlights, we've been trying to keep some spotlights from the 1970s going for forever, and we've done it. But last year for rodeo, we had to rent spotlights because we couldn't keep the other ones going. So we have purchased these 3 new ones to go with 2 of them that are still fairly decent. So we have a contingency of 5 up there now, which really improves what we can do for concerts and everything else because they actually work. The new stage, you can see a piece of it there. We spent $86,000 on it. That's not all there is. It's a 60. We can now build a 60 by 40 stage, and we can go up to the 5 feet now that they wanted before. When we were matching the old Coliseum stage, we were only able to go up to 36 inches. So that's going to be a real selling point there. This is the renovations of the old locker room. I know most of you have been up there. This picture on the right, there was 2 closets up there in the old locker room that were just storage closets. And what we did is we gutted those and we put a restroom on either side. So there's 2 restrooms that look just like that. Really nice. Then the kitchen area there that was just like a training room and everything, we just are just real close to finishing it, but it looks finished here. So so that's a really nice area now. This is part of that locker room. So, and that was just the black. We've restriped over at the river stage now, and so you can see that the no parking and the loading zone is all vivid again, which the sun really bleaches that out. So another thing to go with that is we're getting ready to restripe the parking lot here at the convention center. If you're in the parking lot, you can't hardly even see the lines anymore. So, so we're getting ready to do that also. Okay. You want me to talk about some of the other stuff? Or you got it? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Real quick, while you guys are transitioning, Steve, how many spotlights do they use at one time? They use 4?
4. The rodeo will use 5 if there's there.
They'll use 5.
There. Usually we use 3 for like a concert because the stage will be on the end of the floor. So 2 of the spotlight booths are not to where they can get to the stage from there. So they use 3. Okay. They'll use 2 like when Saba was there all the time. So the stage is in the middle. We'd use the 2 on this side for that. Okay. So but really, 5, they will use 5 if there's 5 there.
If there's 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with the facility improvements phase 2 that we were just discussing, here's a breakdown of all the total cost. For each item, so the chiller replacement was $170,921. Staging, $85,992. LED lighting as well as on there, spotlights and the emergency upgrades. The only thing that's still a work in progress right now is for the river stage, which is the electrical needs right now. The projected cost that we have still is $22,000. We've only spent $1,000 out of that so far for some LED lighting, but coming up soon we'll be finishing all the other needs that are at the River Stage as well. We were hoping to get it done by Riverfest, but it's looking like it's going to be a little bit after Riverfest, but we'll definitely get there. Breaking down all the numbers to you, the total amount requested was $374,000. The actual cost so far is $329,464 with an estimated savings of $44,536. Now, mind you, the $44,000 does include $21,000 that wasn't used at the River Stage so far. So if you take that out, we were still with the addition of what we received from the stock show and then the pending incentive of the $6,900 for the LED lighting. Putting all that back, we're still looking at probably about a little bit over $30,000 in savings that we'll be able to bring back and use, hopefully.
Any idea on time frame for that incentive?
Not right now. I don't think they have a time frame on it.
So that'll be realized fiscal year 19.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on our facility projects? Of course, as you can see, we've completed pretty much all of them except for the River Stage, except for the electrical needs for there. So we do have some other future facility projects that we'll be definitely getting into with the next one. But if you have any questions.
Yeah, I have a dumb question probably. What are we talking about pending incentives? What is that?
So the pending incentive was when we went over to putting in LED lighting. The contractor, I believe we received some funding back from it due to the savings from moving to LED lighting.
Thank you.
And it's from AEP.
So if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and move to the next item, discussion of capturing some revenue for future facility improvements and recommending any related.
So this leads into where we were with facility improvements phase 2. Definitely wanted to give you all an outlook of all other needs that we're looking at for our future facility improvements to keep in mind for us. And here's a little list of them. There's the event management software. I think that's very important for us because we want to be able to be cloud-based. At the point in time right now, I would have to go to Ms. Lori to be able to ask for what dates we do have available or anything like that. When I believe we should have it at cloud-based. And when I look at the other facilities around the country, of course, they're all cloud-based, and that's how they're operating. They're even operating to where they can see what even what they're selling at the concessions as well, too. So I believe that, that's something in the future we should be able to move towards. Of course, our parking lots definitely need a lot of work. Coliseum parking lot, Convention Center as well, Paseo, Farmers Market, the HVAC here at the Convention Center. Paseo, we would like to go to LED lighting as well. The Coliseum marquee, that's another thing that we would like to be able to get work into out there. The Coliseum front doors, as you know, the hardware inside of the front doors are actually going out, so they're having to rob parts from other ones and just need to be able to get some new hardware so they're all working. New River Stage restrooms and concessions, of course, that's a big item right there, but it is something that's a need for us whenever we do have these nice events at the River Stage. Of course, when there's over 2,500 people or whatever the amount is, we definitely could use a few more concession stands and restrooms. Floor scrubbers are very important for us, so we won't be knocking dust off the floor and it's going into the stands and then trying to knock it off the stands and it's going back into the floor or wherever it's going. And then the Convention Center parking lot too as well, we would like to go to with LED lighting as well. So with all of these items, and I know of course all these items probably is at least $500,000. When you look at it, everything that we're actually needing. Coliseum seal coat is around $290,000. Convention Center seal coat $60,000. Paseo Farmers Market is $50,000. HVAC system is $20,000. It just adds up. The restrooms we're at minimum $75,000. We're looking at management software. We don't know where we're going to be at with that too as well. So, there are some other projects that we would like to see done too as well, or other improvements for our facilities too as well. Any questions on the items that we're actually looking at so far before we move on to the next slide?
Sorry, so would you repeat the number again, the total number that you?
Well, I don't have a total because it does,
I mean, approximate.
approximate to me is going to be over five. Is definitely going to be over 500,000. Then, and that's with everything. Of course, the floor scrubbers, we need 3 of them. That's 30,000 a piece. Management software, like I said, approximately $50,000. Paseo LED lighting, 10,000. So I mean, it does add up for us.
What, the floor scrubber for what facility?
The reason for 3 is we need 2 at the Coliseum. We need 1 to replace the old one that's at the Paseos. The Paseos over there, there's no way to keep the pigeons out of there. So we're scrubbing that every week, and as you can see, we have events over there every week. So we're having to scrub that once every week at least, and sometimes in between. So we need 1 there. But what's been happening is we sweep that dust or the dirt off the floor from Monster Truck. We sweep it off from Rodeo and everything, and then we chase dust around for 6 months. So what we did this last year after Monster Trucks is we used an old floor scrubber. It took us almost 2 weeks to get everything up because of being so old and having to recharge it every 20 minutes or so. So that's the way we're going to try to take up all that excess. They clean all the dirt as such out, but you know there's always left in there. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's what we need the floor scrubbers for.
So with all the improvements that we're looking at, where can we actually capture some revenue for future facility improvements is something that I think we need to start discussing and bring it forward to City Council as well. The last 2 times, of course, we've used money from HOT to be able to fund both of those projects. And I don't remember how much off the top for the first project, but I believe we're probably at about 500,000 already that we've already asked for. So with the revenue, what can we do for future facility improvements? So, you know, we're looking at possibly capturing revenue from the concessions that we have since we've always hit concessions. The past 2 years, we've hit 40,000, what was budgeted for it. And personally, to me, I would feel that whatever we budget after 40,000, whatever we have in the pot after that, maybe we can put that in some type of fund to be carried over year to year as well, and build up that revenue so we can put that towards some of these projects that we also need. Facility fee is another item that we can look at possibly. We haven't, right now, of course, we're $1.50 for ticketed events and then 50 cents for if they're a nonprofit. So there's a big difference in that number. I know we've spoken about that in previous meetings to where if you're having it really shouldn't matter on a concert about the facility fee. I think facility fees across the board should be $1.50. No matter if it's a nonprofit or for-profit, because that is a customer is actually paying for it, and I mean it's the same type of event no matter what. Or looking at possibly doing a flat fee, or you know some type of revenue that we can start putting to the side so we can finish up these improvements. You know, so it's an open discussion, questions. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what we can do for the future.
On the flat fee proposal, is it flat fee for what?
It's really just throwing out ideas of where we might be able to capture, where some of the revenue we have coming in, how could we capture some of that and set it aside for future improvements? So the flat fee, it could be we charge a flat fee for every performance, or we charge a percentage of the flat fee that we charge, or we increase the facility fee, or we take a portion of the concessions. We're just trying to brainstorm what opportunities we have to capture revenue.
Have you ever considered for large events at the Coliseum having a VIP parking that people wouldn't mind paying so that they're a little bit closer to the entrances, that sort of thing? Because I know you can't control the whole thing. I mean, it would just back everything up if you charge even if you charge $1 to everybody, that probably wouldn't be feasible. But maybe having a VIP parking where somebody could pay, $4 or $5 and have, prime parking for large events.
Could do that. We would. I mean, the flip side of that is you have to man it to control it best. So there would be a cost for that.
Yeah, there would. I mean, Just an idea. We're brainstorming, right?
Unless we automate it somehow.
Well, it could go with a ticket sale or something, or maybe for the box people or things like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing an idea out
Yeah,
there.
sure.
So if I'm looking at the 410 balance correctly, going back to that and looking at all the different venues, are we in the black when it comes to operations stuff? I mean, this $182,000 that I see negative, is that what we're losing total? Because the reason I'm asking is, where does the money that the individual venues that they profit from, where does that money go? Like, obviously, the you know, where are we at here? The convention center, you know, they had $200,000 in revenue and only $174,000 in expenses, so that's a net gain of $35,000. Where does that money go? So for the year,
If your expenses exceed revenue, then it's taken out of your fund balance. Conversely, if you have more revenue than expenses, then your fund balance grows.
so right now, we still have $182,000 to make up. I mean, and I know, the reason I'm asking that is because I remember Scott and some other people talking about having each individual venue kind of put money aside every time there's a concert, every time there's a use for that property, into some sort of balance that takes care of repair and maintenance, or, you know, whatever.
Well, this was actually talked about several years ago, about taking the facility fee, and each year requesting that revenue that came in for just facility fee be put into a dedicated account, restricted funds, that it could only be used for facility improvements, because that's what the facility fee's for. But nothing ever came of it. It was discussed, but I guess it fell on deaf ears or was tabled.
So is that an option currently?
I would think that's an option currently, myself, but I don't know what the legal ramifications are on that. It's just like, I never understood why we give a 50 cent for nonprofit, or they could go down to a quarter if they have like six events or more a year, when the same people are sitting in the same chair. It's just as much wear and tear for all of them. I think it should be a flat fee of $1.50 or whatever. Because currently now with the auditorium pays back to the city, since it's run by SAPAC. They pay back for every ticket sold. They pay back $2 for a facility improvement fee to the city, and that's put in a restricted account so that whenever we need to do any improvements or modifications, that money will be there. And they write us a check each month for what they have received from the previous month. I think there's probably several avenues that we could do that if we can get it passed.
Do we have a projected number based on what we're doing right now relative to nonprofits? So in other words, we have X number of events that nonprofits put on, and if we were to bill them the $1.50, what would that number look like? What would the gain be?
I do not have that information currently.
Can we find out? Can you help us get that information?
I would think we probably could by going through the bookings and seeing.
Just even for this year, look at how many nonprofits have used the facilities.
You got it.
Yeah, so, I mean, looking at the last concert that we had, 4,800 tickets sold. We only received 50 cents per ticket, so 4,800 times 50 cents, it was somewhere around the 2,000, 20 some area right there, when we should have probably collected over $6,000 in facility fees. So, I mean, it is a huge gap whenever you're looking at it. So, and we had Friday nonprofit concert, and then Saturday as well at the Coliseum, the Christian concert, nonprofit concert as well. So it does take a toll on you. You know, after you got to do at least have 3 events to catch up to 1 event, if you understand what I'm saying.
Got it.
But I can definitely give you some numbers of what we've lost in the past.
So it's significant.
So you can see. Yes,
That
sir.
turn away business?
No, not at all, because the ticket it doesn't affect the nonprofit company. It's
passed
after
on to the
yeah, it's
consumer.
passed on to the customer. So if the ticket is $30, we charge the facility fee on top is $1.50. So if they're buying it for a nonprofit, it's $30. The facility fee is only 50 cents for the customer. That's not making a difference. If somebody's going to go to an event, they're not going to look at a facility fee and be like, "Well, I'm not going because they charged me an extra $1."
Yeah, the nonprofit's not going to reduce their ticket prices to accommodate for that. I mean, so essentially they are, in a roundabout way, increasing ticket prices.
Yes, but it's a concert, though. I mean, we're all there. It's a concert. It's not a. I mean, it's a benefit, but everybody's doing it. I mean, it's still a facility fee. You're still using the same restroom facilities. You're still doing everything the same. I mean, we have the same problems with the River Stage that we do have. I mean, with a country concert that we have with another country concert, no matter if it's a nonprofit or a for-profit concert, still the same issues.
I'm not opposed to it. I think it's probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think we really should look at it more seriously. If we can get some numbers to kind of build a case towards that. You know, one of the I see, and I'm experiencing it myself with September 29th, and since we've ventured into this as a nonprofit, I'm hearing more nonprofits are looking at taking steps towards developing concerts to be fundraisers for them. And, you know, the trend has been golf tournaments. Well, golf tournaments have kind of died off. And now the skeet shooting stuff, the claybird shoots, those have been very popular as fundraisers recently, more recently. And now I'm hearing concerts are coming up as part of the fundraising agendas for a lot of the nonprofits. And as y'all will know, San Angelo, Tom Green County has an extraordinary amount of nonprofits. I mean, we're like in the top 5 in the state as a community based on how many nonprofits are based in our footprint. And so I just sitting here not really knowing a lot about what I'm doing yet as far as serving on this commission. I tend to see that there's some good food for thought around that.
And the thing is, we have plenty of concerts that can come up or plenty of events at one time, but you know, you can look at the budget and be like, well, why didn't you hit your facility fees? Well, because they're all nonprofits. I've done great in rentals, but my facility fees are not growing.
So to make that change, I mean, we did the policies last year, so all we have to do is do an amendment to the policy and take it up to council.
Yes, sir.
We'll vote on it and do that. Well,
yes, it's part of the policy and stuff. It
we
definitely
just have to
is.
do a policy amendment and then
And
vote
then
on it
also
here and take it to council.
The fee schedule too as well.
But we're talking 2 things. One is possibly changing the facility fee we charge for nonprofits, but also the second thing is capturing what revenue would we capture
Yes.
out of that for future improvements.
I understand we would take the facility fee at that point, and I know it's a kind of a separate issue, but set up a sinking fund with those facility fees for any future needs or improvements. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Right, because it doesn't necessarily just have to be the facilities fee that we increase that goes into it. It could
That's
be other
correct.
revenue.
You don't have to, yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm thinking through this, and I'm going back to Tim's question as well, but, you know, you do have some venues that are under-realized revenue. So therefore, the over-realized revenue you receive in one venue helps, you know, the other venue. So I'd hate to, we'll just use Coliseum. I hate to say the Coliseum's, you know, way over-realized, and so let's capture that money, and then, you know,
The other ones don't get
the
any.
other ones are hurting. So I think it's kind of a shared value that over-realized revenue in one venue does help the others, because these are, you know, these structures are going to deteriorate. I mean, we all know that, and some of them have been left, not left behind, but they've been neglected for some years. And when hot money's good, we need to fix what we've got, and we need to take advantage of these things. So, and I guess then on the flip side of that, I have a little confusion with setting aside money in some kind of an account. Now that we've separated into 605, any overrealized revenue we receive goes to fund balance. So essentially, that is our contingency fund. So I don't know how well that would go over with City Hall or City Council to set an additional revenue fund. I don't know that that's possible to carry over, is it? I mean,
Well, see, why do we call it a facility fee? To me, it sounds to me like we're capturing $1.50 so that we can then turn around for the wear and tear of the facility, go back and make repairs. I mean, just by the name, to me, sounds to me like that's what you're doing, is you're charging a facility fee so that you can maintain any wear and tear that's going to happen by the events that you're hosting.
I guess the only caution would be we just want to make sure we don't hurt business.
I don't think
because then you know how risky concerts are in general. So
yes, but when you're looking at the deal, what deal I make with them is about the rental, what our cap is, the merch. It doesn't have nothing to do with the facility fee. That part is added on. Okay, take it. Let's say if you were a nonprofit or somebody's a nonprofit, what's the difference in you saying, okay, well, it's 50 cents. I'm gonna add my own dollar to it. What's gonna be the difference then? And then it's still $1.50. They can still put that dollar hidden in there, but it's just we only receive 50 cents. Because promoters will do that. They'll be like, well, your regular price is $1.50. Well, I'll just show the agents that it's $1.50, and they collect an extra dollar on you, and they're getting it.
Well, why don't you bring that as an agenda item, and Don, look into the culpability of setting up that sinking fund with the facility fees and how we would distribute it. And
I think it could be done accounting-wise. I mean, I've seen it been done like at the pool. There's a contingency fund that with council's authority, rolls over every year for smaller improvements. Well, that's kind of how I see this working.
If we do set up that, and I think that I don't see why it wouldn't be legal, then it wouldn't be swept in a fund balance, and we'd have that money to do the minor improvements that aren't capital improvements.
True. And the reason why we're having this item on talking about it is because Council Member Thomas has been talking about it with staff, and he mentioned it at one of the last council meetings.
Yeah, because we're having these events, we're collecting a facility fee, it gets swept in a fund balance, and then we're having to go back and ask them to do things that we really are already capturing to do those items.
So the pool has a contingency fund that gets carried over from year to year?
Yeah, it's in an account. It's called the contingency account. And we've got another new one somewhere else, but I can't remember where it is. But it's a contingency account, and that's what we use to replace equipment. And then when we ask for the rollovers, carryovers at the end of the fiscal year, it's one of the accounts that gets carried over.
Every dollar. It doesn't have to be encumbered to get carried over. Every dollar gets carried over. It's a cash-based account.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I'm assuming it could be set up that way. They may choose to set up a different way.
Iron out the details, bring it back, and let's take a vote on it.
Have we gotten any feedback? I understand Councilman Thomas has provided feedback. Has he given any other feedback about any of this other? As in
about capturing the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
He's mostly it's been very general. He sees an increase in activity and events and performances, and he sees us coming back to council for funds for improvements, which we've successfully done. And so he's kind of tied the two together, saying, sure, we have the fund balance, but also let's see if we can capture some of the new revenue for improvements. And it's been very general, not specific.
Is there any other opportunities that are just glaring out there as far as capturing the revenue and keeping it? For facility improvement? Is there anything
I wouldn't
obvious?
As in where we can take it from? I would
a facility fee type structure.
I would say facility fee concessions. Merchandise, I guess. Once you hit over certain budget in merchandise. I mean, that would be the only areas, except for, you know, your rental rate, which we, you know, for a concert, we normally cap it is higher than what the average rental rate is already. So
Is that $1.50 facility fee, is that capped? Who sets that? Who sets the amount?
$1.50 cannot, that's one thing that goes across the board, and we have to abide by the $1.50 for it. So that's set by council.
How long has it been $1.50?
I know since
the beginning.
2007, 2008.
Since
I
the
know for
beginning.
sure.
Request an
Yeah,
increase
I
on
know
that
it's
in
been
some
there.
way?
8? It's been a while. 2007 or 2008.
Is there
The other-
anything for an increase on that? Like to $2?
I mean, yes, it can be, but I mean, I think personally, I'm comfortable more with the $1.50 and just using that $1.50 instead, because outside the facility fee, then on top, there's also, if you're using your credit card, so there's a service fee, you know, for using your credit card on top. So it's already going to be, if you got a $30 ticket, it could be $3-4 added on to that ticket to make it a $35. So that's why I'm kind of already comfortable with us already staying at $1.50. If we did raise it a quarter to $1.75 maybe, but I wouldn't want to touch the $2.
The other thing I think we need to consider is, do we become a competitive force within the community, within the private sector, with private venues?
One thing I do notice is there's no place like the River Stage. There's just not a place like the River Stage. So if you want the River Stage, people are coming to the River Stage for that scenery, for an event like that. And I don't see nobody saying, well, I'm going over here, because, you know, it's the River Stage is just nice. I mean, people the out of town promoters that come down, they like being on the river. They like the scenery. They like the vibes that's out there. So to me, it's been easy to be able to put events at the River Stage, a lot more easier. I mean, right now we're going into our last event at the River Stage is November 17th. So that's into winter, you know. So, I mean, that's pretty good for us. I mean, that normally, or late fall, that normally does not happen for us, to be having concerts still going on out there. So, it's looking good. And
But you don't get any pushback from any of the private sector to say you're unfairly competing against us, blah, 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 the
Not
city's
at all.
competing?
I mean, we have a great relationship with the Spur Arena as well, at the Stock Show and Rodeo. I mean, so what's happening is the promoters are all coming to all the venues, and they want to see what's going on. So it's best for us to be able to, our side, to be able to discuss things before and say, hey, this is where we're going to stand. We're not going to compete with each other. We're going to put it on them to choose what they would like to do and stuff.
It's an open market, and ultimately the promoter is the one that's putting up the risk, and
Yes.
they're going to choose the venue.
Can I ask what we charge for an online ticket purchase? Do we charge an additional fee on that?
We don't charge on the online. I mean, we just have the facility fee on top, and then whatever the service fee of, let's say, Stubwire or whatever they're charging as a service fee to be able to process the credit cards and stuff, that's through their system.
So are they charging the city for that credit card fee?
No. Stubwire doesn't charge us anything at all.
Is that up to the promoter though, right?
On,
Whether they use Stubwire or whoever?
yes, on the ticketing, yes, sir. There's some regulations that have to definitely be followed, but yes, it is.
So that's an open market
Sure.
situation as well.
Yeah, I think all the ticket places, they charge some kind of processing fee, and that's how they absorb the cost and make their profit.
So is ticketing an option to help create? Is that something that has been discussed in the past, or
As in,
us doing ticketing? Or is that something that
we
we
got
don't
away
wanna-
from the ticketing because just to get our hands off the money, not being involved in that portion of it. Also, you know, with the box office, I feel, I mean, we do have customers that still come here and ask if they can purchase tickets. Of course, and we just send them to where they need to be able to purchase them. But it definitely helps us with the amount of events that we have. We're still understaffed. And with the amount of events that we do put on, you know, we're having to stretch out a lot more. So that did help us be able to free up the box office as well, getting rid of doing tickets ourselves. And it's actually been a great process for us.
I've been here long enough to see us do tickets and then do it like we do now. Now's the best I've ever seen.
If somebody wants a refund for a ticket,
Yeah,
they don't come to
refunds.
us. They go to Stubwire, and it's on him to be able to.
Liabilities on them.
Yeah, because you used to have to man that, and then we had to upgrade the software. We were fixing to put a bunch of money out for software, so it was just easier for let somebody else do it. They do the.
And it's been great. They'll come down and they'll sell the tickets on their own, and I'm able to see, as long as I get the backhand information where I can see how many tickets are being sold daily, and other little information as well, so we know how to set it up and how to have staffing. I think that's all we need. But it's definitely helped us out going to not doing tickets in house.
Going back to Naomi's comment, I like the idea of raising everybody to the same price, but I also don't want to target just one area. So in my personal opinion, I'd almost be interested in increasing all across the board. I mean, it's the price of doing business. Things don't get any cheaper. Contractors aren't getting any cheaper. So materials not getting cheaper. So
you're saying in the facility fee going up?
Correct.
What is y'all's idea on facility fee?
No
And
idea.
I get it,
Just like
because
the
I mean
idea.
in other venues they are a little bit higher than what it is. I mean, you go buy something at AT&T Stadium or something, you're paying.
This is completely separate from anything city. Working in the phone industry for a long time, I mean, when you get those mandated fees at CCPUC, they're massive, and people are going to pay them because they need the product. Our facilities are needed here, and we need to keep up with them, and we need to take care of them. So I believe $2 is suitable. I know you said you want to stay away from that, but I would pay that, so.
I'm not opposed to an increase, but I also think that maybe we should take baby steps and create the fund. Create the fund first, and see if we can get that contingency fund, get that established, get that passed, and then maybe go for the increase
Go
at a later
quarter
time.
a process
I would
or
take
something
baby
like that.
steps.
What were the potential concessions plans?
Concessions plans. So like I said, in the past year we've already reached 40,000, which is what we budgeted, and like this year we're already over approximately like $3,000, I believe, in it. Last year I believe we were over at least $10,000, probably more than that as well. So, I would like to be able to set concessions to just 40,000 every year, and whatever we have over that 40,000, we can put that into this facility improvements.
And so is on the 410 again on that when it says Civic events concessions, is that only Carlos, or is that also the 10% fee that the caterers put into?
That's only Carlo. That's
Where
just
does the 10% fee that the caterers give? Where does that end up? Does that show up in the 410 somewhere? Oh, in the revenue of that individual facility? I got you. So you're saying if you cap it at $40,000 of what you or what Carlos,
whatever we receive
you.
over from events after that, we would put that into whatever account that's created.
so you're already 102% realized for the year, and you got what 2 months left or something like that. So you're probably going to hit a $10,000
Should.
overage or more. That seems like a pretty because you're going to get that money regardless, as long as the supply is or the demand.
Yeah, as long as as long as the concerts and events happen, then the concessions will definitely do great for us.
That seems like an
That keeps
easy
going.
squeeze that won't affect anyone.
Yes.
Do we have a history of do you know last year or the year before or anything like that? How much over the 40,000?
Like I said, last year I believe we were like 67. I want to say it was up there.
67,000 or 100?
I mean 67. We had reached 67,000 total, so we were at whatever that is, 20.
That seems like a very logical way to get money without having,
And then it makes you want to keep your concessions after that, because that's where it's definitely going to.
Currently, it just flows to fund balance. I mean, or assist with under-realized revenue in another area.
I mean, you're looking at whenever a great river stage event, you have one like we had the last time. I mean, just the city's cut portion would be at least about 10,000. When the amount of heads that are coming through there, I mean, it's big. Another thing that I would say, I mean, it could be an ATM charge. I mean, there's, when people come to the concerts and we have the ATM fee that's out there.
Are those ATMs permanent? Are there permanent ATMs out there, or are they brought in?
ATMs, they're temporary. They come
Mobile.
in per event.
Oh, that thing wouldn't last during the week sometime.
It won't be permanent.
And do we currently charge a fee for ATM service?
We don't. We collect one, but yeah, we don't have it to where it something. I didn't think of it something like this though, but we do collect a fee though.
So what you're saying, we're doing a lot of little things, but it goes straight to fund
somewhere
balance
else.
instead of us capturing
Yes, sir.
it. And so what we need to look at is some of the things that we do or that you guys do.
Something that goes direct to this, and we can go ahead and
that you're able to
put it
capture.
towards
That's
events,
correct.
or I mean, put it towards whatever improvements. And I mean, it'd be great to be able to have these, and even if we went to council and was still saying, okay, we've collected 67,000, this is what we would like to use that 67,000 on. And just being able to show it instead of, well, where's the money going to come from and everything else as well.
Where the pushback would be, because you're going to go ask for money. If facilities have to be improved yearly, you're going to go ask for money. And if it's already set aside, to me, that looks more like your budget and your planning versus going back and being reactive and saying, can I please have some money?
Can I have it back?
That we raised.
Will that all have to be approved by council?
Yes, sir.
Have we had a history of this before?
Of setting aside money for
Have we ever done that before?
the pool is the closest one I can think of. I mean, Civic Events operations is quite different than other operations in the city, but the pool is the closest one I can think of. Where they capture, basically looking at the whole program itself of the pool, they capture all the revenue less the expenses and keep it in the contingency account.
The reason it glares out to me more is because last year when we had our financials, we had the whole 410 fund balance that we were looking at, and now we've broken it up into a separate account. Now you can kind of see these kind of things, and so to me it glares out a little bit more now that it's been separated.
Just going back, I think there was a comment about if this is budgeted in an account and it gets approved under the budget by council, I don't know that we'd have to go back to council to do the improvements. We probably just need a board recommendation.
But what I'm saying is just going and showing them what we would like to use those funds for,
Yeah.
what projects.
Showing why it's helping.
It eliminates the budget transfer, budget adjustment, which takes 2 readings. I mean, it cuts all that down. So you just give them a heads up. Hey,
Yeah.
This is what we
we'd
want to use. This is
Right.
what we're using the
Right.
funding for.
And to me, that's why I thought you had boards, because if you did something like that and you decide, okay, now I'm going to go spend this $50,000 that we
Right.
do, you bring it to the board, and then there's an oversight.
As long as council's already approved it in the budget,
Correct.
we don't have to go back to them. But I would think a board recommendation would be what we need.
It's always good to keep them in the loop, transparency. I think a lot of these are great ideas. I love that Councilman Thomas is being proactive in these. I think it's great ideas. It's something we all need to look at because we all know the pendulum swings, and hotel taxes could be good now, but it's going to swing back the other way. So we've got to be, proactive and find other ways to generate more revenue. And so I think these are great ideas.
And I mean, just in the year coming up, I mean, we definitely have a packed calendar that'll have facility fees. There's a lot of events that are planned in the next few months on to next year. I mean, I was saving a date for June of next year for an event that they would like to bring down at the River Stage. So I mean, I don't see a decrease in that type of business whenever. And we all know Texas Country just does well. So, I mean, it's just something that always will come, and it's great that we're able to capture as much as we're doing right now from those events. I mean, we're going to keep them up.
We've all been busy, and I agree with Steve. I mean, the pendulum does swing both ways, and eventually we're not going to realize
Yes.
it. We've been blessed for the last couple of years, and so, doing our due diligence, making some planning will help us get through those lean times, because they'll come. Everything. They always do.
So are we all in agreement that we want to look at changing up the facility fee structure and possibly potentially capturing the money above the $40,000 budget for concessions? Those are the two dominant.
So at the next board meeting, we'll discuss that and we'll try to get a vote on it and figure out how we're gonna.
How
bring this to
from a
council.
staffing perspective, how hard would it be to do what Billy was talking about the VIP parking for rodeo and that type of situation?
I think it'll be kind of difficult. Just being honest, I think it'll be a little bit. I think it can happen, but it's also staffing. That's a key part of that right there is making sure you have staff.
I just envision one entrance, which would be on the east side of the Coliseum, where I think they have VIP parking there for the rodeo, where you just section that off, so you just have one ticket taker, and they go in through that side entrance to the floor, and then they can go to their seat from there. So.
Yeah, but the rodeo has a bunch of volunteers.
No, but I'm just saying
but
that's where I'm envisioning the.
Where you're at.
the logistics of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it would just be one ticket taker, and you'd probably make more money to pay for that ticket taker, and then let them into that entrance right there.
I guess I'd have a question. So for some events, they do that. Let's use the rodeo again, for instance. They sell a membership of some kind. For instance, I have a Spur Club membership, and with that membership, I get VIP parking. So they're kind of making their own money. They're renting the facility with that includes the parking lot. So they use that parking lot as a revenue source for them. So I'm not sure, again, logistics, it could be done, but I'm not sure with certain events, we may not have that option. But it's a great idea. I love the idea. Definitely something.
It's just, if you're running late and you've got great seats, but you got to park in the back.
That's
Billy.
Billy. It's just Billy.
Fashionably.
I'm late to everything.
Yeah, I think that is I think we ought to look into it more and figure out what the expenses would be and then make a decision.
We'll do that. Any other questions on that item? Kind of sat on that one for a while. With that, we'll move on to the next item, presentation of 2018 All-American Chevrolet Riverfest schedule.
So Riverfest is right around the corner. All-American Chevrolet Riverfest is right around the corner.
Thank you.
And so we're actually doing something different this year. We're actually going 2 days. We have 2 days worth of music going on. We have Riverfest, All-American Chevrolet Riverfest at Friday, September 14th, 6 p.m. concert at the River Stage, headlined by Stephanie Montiel as well as Zavala, and also a tribute band, Bita Bita Banda, DJ Sancho, Funky Monkey, and the Bryce Daniels Band. Tickets are actually on sale for that event already. They're sold through stubwire.com. Kids under 12 are actually free for the event. And they're affordable tickets. We're definitely looking forward to the beginning event for Riverfest for this year. And then we go into Saturday, September 15th in the morning. We have the Run with the Heroes, Operation Blue Shield, Superhero 5K, and Family Mile. The pre-registrations, all the information is actually available at raceroster.com as well. The cost is $10 for youths and seniors and $20 for adults as well. That'll be taking place. The race starts at 9 a.m. at Bart DeWitt Park in the parking lots at West Concho Avenue as well. So that'll also take place early in the morning, as you can see the flyer as well right here for the Run with the Heroes event. And the official logo for the All-American Chevrolet Riverfest. And then we also kick off 9 a.m. to noon. There's Lily Fest at the Civic League Park. There, from 10 a.m. to noon, there's a 3-player scramble golf tournament. There's also the 6-on-6 sand volleyball tournament taking place. The Shannon's Kids Court featuring a petting zoo, pony rides, bouncy houses, a zip line, trampolines, water guns, kayaking, and more. That takes place in the Neffs area as well. And then we also have plenty of food vendors and exhibitors that have reached out to us that will be serving and selling their goods.
Could you back up one more time to the logo or whatever you're putting out there? So where's that going right there, if you don't mind me asking?
Which one?
Either one. Is that one big piece, or is that just?
It's two things.
Yeah, it's two things.
Two things. And where are we posting those at? Just online stuff, or are we actually making?
On the left is the this year's logo, and it's on our brochure. The banners and stuff we'll have at the event. It's online. The one on the right is the flyer for the run. That's what the flyer looks like for the run.
Can I ask probably a dumb question? Our title sponsor is All American, and they're not on the flyer?
Yes. I didn't make the flyer.
That's kind of what I was noticing. I mean, I see a little bitty logo on the right that's going on a huge banner with a title sponsor, but it's tiny. I mean, I'm not sure what that. I can't see. We're all in, and then First National Downtown San Angelo. That's you guys, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we're partners with Operation Blue Shield on this.
That's great.
Okay. But I don't see All American on the run with the heroes anywhere.
On the right.
Well, it's on ours. That flyer's by Operation Blue
You see
Shield.
my concern now, right, Carl?
I see. Yes, but that
This
flyer
is
is
only
not
the
a flyer.
poster for the run, I believe.
I like that poster better, and I know.
There's two separate ones, and isn't this on social media already also?
Can't hear.
Is this on social
Yes.
media already?
Yes.
Yeah, I printed this out, so I know I got
Yeah,
it somewhere.
yeah, I see
All
it
the
too.
information is on social media as well.
Because that's posted,
Yeah.
that's on by itself on the left.
Operation Blue Shield joined with Downtown San Angelo and Riverfest to do their run, to kick off the event. And so that flyer has been produced by them. They have added the event logo on there, but it's a separate piece that was added
We'd be
to
more
us.
than happy to make it larger for a nice contribution from All American.
We've made a very nice contribution.
Not to Downtown San Angelo, not to run for the heroes. It's a separate event. It's a separate event. We're publicizing it. It's an event that we're putting on, and you know we did add the Riverfest logo on it, which I know I can't read it. Does it have the 20? Does it have All American Chevrolet on it?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, that was we asked for the Riverfest logo, so that's what we got.
That was. I just happened to see that. I saw that on the left, and of course the one on the right. You know, you can tell that a lot of time was spent to produce that. Y'all did a good job on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, we've been very proactive in solidifying media for our event, and in some cases, I think it supersedes what Riverfest has done. And you know, I know y'all guys are limited. We're not. We can do. We've got a lot of partners on there that have media exposure as well. So I think that's been the big factor. You know, Time Clock Plus is a major player in our community, Service First Financial. They buy a lot of media on their own, and so they're supporting, you know, through their media buys, they're supporting the run. So if, you know, All American's got sufficient media buys that they can increase their exposure for Riverfest.
Okay. Well, I thought this was just strictly a Riverfest deal, and so I understand where you're coming from. That's really kind of why I was asking the question. But I'll look into. I'll discuss it. I'm sure that you'll make sense of it to me.
Then on Happy Trails, we actually have Happy Trails kayaks taking place. Well, Grogan's is still a sponsor of ours, but Happy Trails we'll be doing the kayaks. That's taking place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and also 5:30 p.m. till 7. The Vega Washer Pitching Tournament taking place at the Bosque as well. Then there's kids flag football games at the Neffs area from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Backbeat Music Company, they'll be doing their annual under the Chadburn stage, under the Chadburn Bridge, I apologize, from noon to 7 p.m. as well. And also Girl Scout canoe races from 2 to 4 p.m., adult Olympics, recreation canoe races, Love Municipal Pool. They'll have an adults-only event over there, and then we'll be capping off the whole Riverfest with the Josh Abbott Band concert at the River Stage, with gates opening at 6 p.m. going until 10:30, 11 as well. And this is of course, these are the two other flyers that we have, and there's the Chadburn Street Stage Riverfest flyer, All-American Riverfest flyer, and also the flyer for the Josh Abbott Band, too, as well on Saturday.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of everything. But it's definitely a great event, very affordable for the family to come out to and definitely enjoy and walk the river. You know, there's all types of events. There's been actually a lot more phone calls this year than what I've received in the past, I can actually say, on this one right here.
Well, I want to thank you guys and, of course, your staff, Carl. Y'all do such a tremendous job getting everything organized, getting everything put together. I remember going out there last year, and you guys were walking the whole park, getting everything set up. So you guys do a tremendous job, and I'm glad that we're part of it.
How have the sponsors' sales been going versus previous years? Is it easier to get sponsors now than previous years?
Harder.
I mean, it's always hard, but
It's always hard. It's still hard just getting a sponsor for it because we're the city of San Angelo.
We're basically kind of at the same level, the amount of sponsorships we have coming in. Definitely thank All-American Chevrolet. We could not do it without them. That's the bottom line. We have experiences, the sponsorship level is about the same, but expenses are going up each year, so it's getting harder each year to cover everything.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to be able to keep the relationships of the past sponsors that we've had and keep them going with us for the next year and going forward. Bringing in somebody new on board, I mean, it's you know, funds are tight for everybody. So, you know,
how has attendance
been
minus the rain the past couple years, but over the previous years?
With the last, I know on the side for the river, like for Riverfest, for the at the river stage, I mean, the last concert prior to what we did last year, it was about 2,500 people that were out there just alone for the concert, and I expect the same thing for Josh Abbott Band. I mean, if I had to guess a number of amount of people that come out there, at least 8,000, 8 to 10,000, you know, throughout the day, that just keep going. I mean, we sell a lot of kid wristbands throughout the day. We've extended the hours to, you know, be able to let kids stay a little bit longer out there too as well. The football games definitely attract families too as well to come watch their kids play football out there. That's one of the coolest things that I like seeing out there is the actual football game taking place.
These events, are the tickets purchased separately, like for the event Saturday and one on Friday?
Yes, so the tickets are definitely, they're two different events. And then there's a Friday event that you purchase tickets for through Stubwire. There's the Saturday event, they purchase tickets through roadhouse.com. And then there's
two separate promoters.
And that's two separate promoters. And then for the kid wristbands for the Riverfest activities, they just purchase those the day of at
They can't put
Riverfest.
something together where if you buy the whole package for the whole weekend, you get it at a certain price, as opposed to if you buy separate, it's a lot more, so you end up selling more.
I don't know if it's possible to be able to do that because you're touching a concert and then this money's touching something else. I wouldn't like to put all those together. It would be good though if you did have a discount. If you pre-purchase the ticket to a concert, you can get this ticket at a certain discounted rate. But I wouldn't want to build a package where it's all together.
Just to give you a background, and Dale, you may be interested in this, that All-American Chevrolet, while it's kind of a local dealership, we're under the umbrella of Lithia Corporation, which owns 200-plus stores nationwide, which has a marketing arm called LMA. So if you ever want any kind of sponsorship, that's who we reach out to whenever we want to do those things. LMA and Lithia has been real big on getting involved more and more in the community. You know, a few years back, they didn't give much money, and now we have the ability to go out and reach out and do things that benefit the community, and of course get our name out there. And that's why it's important whenever I say, please call it the All-American Chevrolet Riverfest. They do provide some, you know, a lot of financial support, but we want to continue doing certain things. And Dale, if you've ever got something going, let me know. But it's important to us that we get involved with the community and get out there and reach out. We can't do everything, but we want to get involved. So anything that's worthwhile, we want to be a part of.
Contact goes through you first?
No, I mean, I don't want to really go into
It's not
the deal,
national,
but I can be a primary contact, and then I can forward it to the proper channels.
The Nationals account?
Could you go back through the list of events? I'm kidding.
was about to say. Which one did I miss?
Backstreet.
Hey,
That's a lot
pizza's
of-
getting cold.
Right, that's a lot of reading. Just to hit on that, again, this is such a great event. I was sitting out there when council had to approve this event. Oh, gosh. And it was very stern in the sense of they wanted zero tax dollars to go towards this thing. So you guys had to figure out a way to run this all on your own. And so go out and getting sponsorship. So I echo what Billy says. You guys do an amazing job on this thing, and the partnerships that we have with Downtown San Angelo and All American, and you know the other individuals, the entities that contribute to this. It is huge for this community, and so I echo again what's said and commend you guys for all the work that you do. And with that, if there's no other comments on that, we'll move to future agenda items. Does anyone have any future agenda items?
Okay, speaking of, so we have two future agenda items. We have the continued discussion on capturing some revenue for future facility improvements, which we've discussed. Also want to be able to set up a walkthrough of the Coliseum, River Stage, and Convention Center, you know, so you all can see what we've already done previously, and also the other needs that we're actually looking to as well with the future facility improvements. So I will be we'll be putting that together as well. And then facility fee discussion, it's already on there.
We had the concession.
And I'll add the concessions too as well. I'll put that with them.
I've also got one item, and then I'm sorry to keep you guys, but the indirect cost thing keeps getting to me. I look at this on the budget every month, and I look at how many events are held here, and there's city events that are held here. In other words, the council meetings and the West Mezzanine used for staff meetings and things like that. And it just gives me heartburn that we're paying such a high amount of indirect costs, which potentially will go up. It does go up every 3 years based on the indirect cost plan, and so I assume it's going to go up again this year moving forward. So I think there needs to be a discussion on some trade-off there. I mean, it's, you know, we talk about the deterioration of these buildings, and it's being used internally quite a bit. So that could be a revenue source. You know what I mean? That's some revenue we should be able to capture to maintain this thing so we can continue to have these city meetings. So I don't know if that's needs to be an email that I need to send, or if that's an actual agenda item that we can get someone to come discuss.
Well, Steve, you make a good point, and I'm not sure why it would hurt anything to bring that up and have a little bit more open discussion, because the facilities, I mean, if you take the hours that are being used on an indirect cost basis, there's no reason why we can't go ahead and have an open discussion about it.
Isn't that just sprinkled in throughout all the expenditures throughout I mean, that's where it's showing up right now on the 410, right?
I can't
So,
hear.
it's a future
Yeah,
agenda.
we can't get into
So,
specifics on
okay.
it, but yeah, if we could open it up to an agenda item, then we could be a little bit more specific about it, Tim.
In terms of that discussion, this just be talking, we've kind of hit a dead end. Staff has hit a dead end. I'm not sure that we can take that discussion farther unless
Some advisory board
I'll
can take that
interject.
discussion. I got you. Like I said, it's always given me heartburn, that item, but
I think that should be part of the capturing revenue topic.
But if I'm hearing you correctly, that we can put on agenda, we can have a discussion, but you're thinking that the advisory board would take that, move that forward?
as a discussion by the advisory board, I mean, we've gone down our road, we've reached a dead end.
Okay.
So you
Hey,
can
well,
go
hey.
down your road.
Yeah, I guess maybe we just need to look at how other cities do that. Do they charge the other departments to use their blah, blah.
Yeah, that could help.
The city manager's office should be paying XYZ for their meetings and so on and so forth.
I mean,
Because this coming straight out of Sid's budget, and there's no capture back at all.
staff's running around keeping lights on and coffee, and I mean, they're doing a lot every time there's an internal meeting, and that's staff hours. It's coming out of this budget, so.
Right. We have to
Yeah,
pay,
Go ahead.
we have to pay for it by the revenue we generate or from the hot taxes.
And we're turning around and paying for legal services and city management services, and
We have, in those discussions, what has been the biggest pushback?
this may, I don't know, can we discuss this right?
We
We
Okay,
probably
why
need
don't
to
you
do
put
that.
That's true. I guess we
put that on
should-
agenda item so we can get more
Really
specific.
discuss it at this point.
Yeah, let's put it on.
That's
a
my
future.
safe out.
Keep that question. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move forward, motion to adjourn.
I make it.
Second.
It's So move. All those in favor say aye.